Good morning, great Americans. This is another great American video from the bunker in Kentucky. This is another one in my series of updates from old videos. My old videos used to be really cheesy. My new videos are just kind of cheesy, low budget, but I do tell the truth, and that's what matters. So we're upgrading from super cheesy to just sort of mediocre cheesy. Anyway, we knew this was going to happen. The election is coming, and the election is almost upon us. And now people are going back, and you're starting to see more chatter about the so-called insurrection that never happened. There never was an insurrection. That is one of the biggest lies and propaganda lies ever foisted upon the American people, is that there was an insurrection and the Democrats went full production on Nazi show trials, Soviet-style show trials, violating every law of evidence, not allowing people to participate correctly. And by the way, when the Republicans took back to Congress, the Democrats destroyed all the records about the so-called the so-called insurrection hearings, right? The January 6th hearings. Why did they destroy all the records? Because the whole thing is a farce. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this has been explained many times, but I'm going to say it one more time, just for the low information people out there. Look, we had Antifa crossing the country and Black Lives Matter crossing the country for months, setting fire to cities, destroying cities, killing police officers, committing violence, destroying property. The Democrats' presidential nominee, Kamala Harris, actually bailed these people out of jail and praised them. All right, and at no time were these violent protests ever referred to as an insurrection. But one time, just one time, when Trump supporters decided to exercise their right to protest in the Capitol, it was called an insurrection. Why? Why was it called an insurrection? Very simple. There's an old law on the books that says that any person who is involved in an insurrection against the government of the United States can no longer hold a public office, or I'm sort of paraphrasing there, but that's basically what it is. That is the reason, and the only reason, that the Democrats wanted to call this protest an insurrection. And of course, the lapdogs at fake news CNN and fake news NBC, MSNBC, and all that played along. They played along with it. They held their big fake January 6th trial. Wasn't even a real trial. It was like a Nazi show trial, like the Nazis used to have, just a bunch of screaming and yelling. And he had a few fake rhino Republicans on there, like Liz Cheney, and that's why she got the boot. But the whole thing, the purpose was to play on that old law in order to prevent Trump from running for president. And that's all it was. They decided to use the word insurrection because they knew that stupid, ignorant people would believe it. And they also knew that their lapdogs and liars on the left would play along. And so it has been for 4 years now, or 3 years, it has been called an insurrection, and it is nothing of the kind. Not an insurrection at all. It was a big, gigantic protest. That's all it was. It was a protest that went to the Capitol. Now, in fairness, because I told you that I always tell the truth, right? My videos may be low budget, but they're always truthful. In fairness, there were some people who violated the law by destroying some property at the Capitol, and some windows were broken. But look, the same thing has happened. Far worse has happened at any Antifa or Black Lives Matter. They were burning down cities, man. There were fires. Flames in the background. Remember that one CNN guy on the scene? The city is literally burning behind him, and he's like, nothing to see here, folks. Fucking fake news, man. And I mean, they were literally burning cities and destroying blocks of cities, destroying businesses. Cops were killed. All that. That's when Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and Democrats do demonstrations, and that's all good. That's all good for CNN. That's all good for Kamala Harris, the lying sack of shit. But a little property gets broken or something during a Trump a protest that's on the Trump side. Oh, it's an insurrection. That's a danger to democracy. They're going to kill democracy. Oh, but wait a minute. That's not the worst part. You want to lie about the protest? You want to call it an insurrection? You want to have a bunch of fake Nazi show trials? That's one thing, as bad as it is. But here's the part that's unacceptable. There are just plain old everyday Americans who are out exercising their free speech, sitting in prison today because Nazi fascist judges who are in the pockets of Democrats found them guilty of all manner of different charges, although nobody has been found guilty of insurrection yet, ironically. Not one person has been convicted of an insurrection, but they have been found guilty of all kinds of other stuff. And they're languishing in prison. Why? Because they came out one day, they heard there was a big happening, a big protest. They decided to come out with their banner, and like people do at protests, and now they're in prison. That is fascism. That's no better. Those are no better. Those jails that those people are in right now are no better than concentration camps in Hitler's time or gulags in the Soviet Union. They are literally housing political prisoners who were not involved in any insurrection because there was no insurrection. They just came out one day to be part of a protest, to air their grievance, and now they sit in jail. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a travesty. And I'll tell you what, not only is it a travesty that the fake news media is not reporting that correctly, but it's a travesty that more Republicans aren't putting that on the front page. Seriously, the fascist Democrats and their fascist judges that are in their pockets have literally committed fascist acts and are jailing political prisoners. And it's no surprise that's what they want to do to Trump. They have been trying to do that to Trump. But of course, Trump is a little bit bigger fish, a little bit harder to get on the hook. And they haven't quite got him yet, but that is exactly what they're also trying to do to Trump. Just like fascists and Nazis or anybody in any dictator in any authoritarian regime wants to jail his opponent. Okay. And that's of course, where Stop the Steal, or I should say lawfare. That's they're committing lawfare. But that's a little bit off of this topic. Okay, this topic is the fake insurrection that never actually happened. Okay, so next time you see some idiot or moron on social media say something about, oh, is it insurrection? I don't want to vote for someone who was part of an insurrection. Tell them to fuck off and tell them that they're an idiot. And you can put a link to this video in your post and I'll tell them to fuck off, because there was no insurrection. There was a big protest, and Trump got on social media and he told everybody, obey the law, respect law enforcement, be a peaceful protester. And always remember, in memory, one person died that day. The Democrats have been lying about police officers dying. No police officers died that day. They died on other days because of other reasons, but nothing to do with that. That's another disgusting lie. There's been police officers that have died for medical reasons and unrelated, and they've been trying to pin that on January 6th. That is so disgusting. Only one person's death is linked to January 6th, and that's Ashley Babbitt, a good mother, a good former Air Force. She was formerly in the Air Force. She came out that day to exercise her right to protest, and she was shot. She wasn't even armed. She was shot by a cowardly punk-ass bitch cop who was in no danger. Now, why that has not been focused on more, I have no idea. Can you imagine in any other situation? Consider this. You hear a news story one day. Unarmed woman shot by police officer. Investigation shows that the police officer was in no danger of being harmed, and the woman was unarmed and shot in cold blood for no reason. Could you imagine the outcry there would be over such a story? And rightly so. The cop would be suspended. He'd be under investigation. Blah, 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 blah. There'd be all kinds of GoFundMe accounts for the woman's family. Blah, blah, blah. But because she was a Trump supporter, and because she happened to be there on that fateful day, nothing. This poor woman was murdered because she was and after her death, she has been maligned and lied about being called an insurrectionist when there was no insurrection. Hey, women, where are you on this? Where's me too, and I support women? This is a woman who was out one day exercising her rights and was shot dead. An unarmed woman, no weapons, shot in cold blood for no reason. Where's the women on that? Ashley Babbitt. And they tried to jail her mom too. These people have no... Anyway, so that's this video, right? The bottom line, there never was an insurrection. That's a giant lie. Anybody who thinks there was an insurrection is either a total ignorant retard who doesn't understand the English language and what the word insurrection means, or else they're a willing liar. Now, I recently did a video called The Bottom Line, my previous video, and watching the video, unfortunately, that video gets off to a slow start. I was thinking of redoing it because the first couple of minutes is I'm kind of blabbing before I got on track, so that one hasn't got a lot of views. But basically, it gets to the point to where there are lots of people in America today who have willingly given themselves over to lies and just accept lies. They live in a propaganda world, and no truth at all will permeate their thick skulls. So, and if you hear anybody saying that there was actually an insurrection and that Trump fomented some sort of insurrection, that's the kind of person you're talking to. Because the facts say otherwise. I mean, it's self-evident and common sense says otherwise. There was no insurrection. And again, to repeat myself, we know that the reason they called it an insurrection was so that they could apply that old law to Trump and some others too. They wanted to apply that old law that says no insurrectionists can hold public office. So they labeled a plain old protest, they labeled it an insurrection, and they wanted to pin it on Trump. Well, thank God the American people were a little bit smarter, and it didn't work. It failed. And now the Democrats have destroyed all the records of the January 6th hearings. And you don't hear about that on the news either. Why would they if these were legitimate congressional hearings and this was a legitimate thing, why would they destroy the records of the hearings? Think about that. And then nobody talks about that in the news. It's just fascinating. So there was no insurrection. That's a gigantic lie. Just like all the other gigantic lies. Someday I'm going to make a video about all the gigantic lies. Trump is a racist. That's a lie. Trump said that Nazis are very violent people. That's a lie. He never said that. Trump is going to destroy democracy. Well, that's just an ignorant rant. That's beyond a lie. That's just that's just dumb. Trump is a rapist. Man, Trump never raped that nasty old hag. That old gold. No, come on, man. That old gold digger wants us to believe that a man like Trump, who was on the cover of Playboy magazine and ran to Miss America and had all kinds of hot chicks, she wants us to think that he raped her nasty ass in the middle of a storm. Come on, man. And by the way, look for more of that this election. That the Democrats love to get these nasty, sick, lying women to cry rape. That's what they did to Kavanaugh. That's what they did to Justice Thomas. They do that to Supreme Court judges. They do that to, they trot out these women who cry rape and they're liars and frauds. They do it all the time. Man, for the love of God, the next time some Republican politician or appointee to the Supreme Court, watch and see. Some woman's going to come out and say, "He raped me." And it's going to be a lie. They do that all the time. So that's another lie about Trump. Okay, so there was no insurrection. He's not a racist. He never said Nazis are fine people. He never raped anybody. And blah blah blah. These are all lies because the Democrats, bottom line, are scared to death of him and they know he's going to win. And when he gets back in, he's going to remember. He's going to clean house. And he's going to rain down justice on all these sick, lying Democrat fascist frauds. So that's the bottom line. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for once I'm watching the clock and I'm going to try and keep this one a little short. So I'm signing off for now. You got to vote red. You got to vote for Trump. You got to vote red up and down the ticket. If you elect Trump and you have a Democrat Congress, then he's not going to be able to fulfill the promises that make America great again. So vote for Trump and vote Republican up and down the ticket. Give them a chance, folks. Give them a chance. Kamala wasn't even elected. How can you vote for a woman who was installed like a Nazi? They had a coup d'etat against Biden. Nobody voted for Kamala, and they just jammed her in like the Nazis they are. And they talk about democracy. Who's killing democracy? The Democrats are the ones that are wiping out your votes. They're the ones that are not allowing people to vote for their nominee, not us. So vote for Trump, and I will see you again in the next great American video. Adios, muchachos.